Alright, people, what's going on? Denonu here, the man with black privilege, and this is going to be a kind of sort of, not necessarily my review, but my thoughts on the new Arrow episode, Season 4, Episode 4. Uh, and it was pretty good, to be honest. I'm kind of a little late with these. Honestly, I wanted to jump into it when the season first began and upload little review, you know, type videos for Arrow, just like I do The Flash and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything like that. But I had to catch up with the last season. But I've been watching the newer episodes as they came out with the new season, and I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. I like the fact that they're actually, calling him Green Arrow now. Now that we're like, 4 seasons in, that's, as a comic book fan, that's always been like my main little gripe with the show is that them not calling him the Green Arrow, even though he is, and that they're making the show too much like Batman. And I guess I used to think that at first with the other seasons in the past, uh, and I still do to a certain extent. Coming forward from season 1 until now, they've always tried to, you know, bring in all of these extra bad guys and stuff, which is cool because I don't read Green Arrow all that much. I've only read a little bit. I know they kind of sort of rebooted his character since the TV show came out, maybe a couple times, and they've tailored his character more so like the TV show, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, Marvel's been doing that with their movies and everything, so I'm not griping it on that. But the Green Arrow that I know and love and read about has always been the one before the TV show came out, like the one from the Justice League cartoon, the one from, the one with the goatee. I'm hoping that, or one of my hopes rather, for the TV show is that I know it kind of started off being its own thing, and them basically trying to make a show out of or centered around one character and have it, them piecemealing stuff together to make a TV show. They're not making a series like, let's say, like Marvel is, where they're making ongoing continuity and everything like that. Um, but as a comic book fanboy at heart, that's what I want, honestly. And I don't mean to make this video a overall Arrow TV show synopsis, but I just got to get my thoughts about it first, so you can see where I'm coming from going forward. Because I plan to release these little things every week, with the episodes and everything like that. But honestly, after watching, all the seasons and all the episodes leading up to now, I can see where they kind of want to take the show, and I'm happy for it because, like I said, as a comic book fan, I'm happy for the medium, and they've taken a character that's not a lot of people know about. If you aren't in comic books, if you don't watch none of the cartoons, nobody know who Green Arrow is. But they've kind of sort of, through the TV show, made it, I'm not going to say mainstream, but now people know who the character is. And it's a way of bringing that to new audiences. And, that just makes everything better, But they still keep introducing all of the Batman stuff. Like the League of Assassins, the Lazarus Pit. It's like, come on, man, like make newer stuff, I don't know Green Arrow all that much, but I'm pretty sure he didn't have all of Batman's villains in his repertoire, or at least most of them. And I'm pretty sure he didn't tangle with Deathstroke like that. Not that I'm happy that Deathstroke wasn't in was in the TV show, because Deathstroke has always been like one of my favorite characters from DC comic books. So I'm glad to see him. He's like damn near as popular as like Deadpool at this point. Whenever somebody makes a movie, or whenever somebody makes a medium, they always like to throw him in there when they need somebody badass. So I can't knock what they did. But they did kind of make the show successful. They did change it through fan feedback and figuring out what works for them. going forward and making a TV show. And I'm glad to see that they're actually acknowledging some of the stuff that's in the comic books going forward and the character and all of that. And just to take it full circle, my hope with the show after getting used to it for a while, because at first I didn't really like it. I kind of sort of hated it. I kind of sort of see. I used to feel the same way about Arrow that I feel about the Supergirl TV series now. That's something I probably won't be covering because I just hate what that show stands for, and it just seems like they're making the show for the wrong reasons. But, that's a whole nother video for that. But my hope with the Arrow TV show has always been, yeah, they may have started out with a different beginning, with the character, with how they made it, with the whole "you have failed this city," because I don't think he never did none of that shit in the comic books, but it's cool for a TV show. And I actually like when he does it in the show now, believe it or not. But at the end of the TV show, my hope is that by the end of the show, once they ran it all out to its conclusion, that at the end, Oliver Queen is going to be rocking that goatee. That's that's my hope. But my hope is that by the end of the TV show, that he's going to become, the Green Arrow from the TV show or from the comic books, things like that. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be like, how he is in the comic book, where he's like starting to lighten up, crack jokes and stuff. And with season 4, to bring it back to this episode, I can see where they're starting to do that, and I like that. I like that a lot. This season coming up, I was kind of unsure about how they were going to take it, because at the end of season 3, I'm not a fan of Malcolm Merlyn as a character. I know who he is in DC comic books and stuff like that, but I'm not a fan of his character in the show and how they keep bringing him in and all that stuff. But hey, you need an ongoing bad guy type character. And season 3, for me, at the end, felt kind of lacking. The League of Assassins stuff, honestly, I didn't like it at first because I felt that's more Batman's thing. But after getting used to it in the show and everything, it's okay now. I don't have that animosity towards it. And I like what they did with it. I liked, I forget what her name is, but Laurel's sister. I really wanted her character to be Green Arrow. I mean, not Green Arrow, but what's her name? Black Canary, because that's another character who I really like in the comic books, is Black Canary. They don't give her justice even in the comic books as much, so much now. But I know in the 90s they pushed her a lot with Justice League, and she even ran a few of their teams and was making all of those executive decisions for them in the comic books. But she was a badass character, and even though I know her character is Laurel Lance and all that stuff in the TV show, I don't like the actress. I wish they would switch them, because I like her sister, the one that's with the League, better than her as a character. She's more believable than the one girl is. But tying all that in with the League of Assassins, I like that. At the end of the day, what they did with Ra's al Ghul last season and everything, I was feeling that. And going forward from that, I like the end result of the League in the show. That's cool. And going into this fourth season, I didn't think that they were going to rehash none of that, So it's nice to see that they're touching onto it. With Malcolm Merlyn taking Ra's al Ghul's place, it just seems kind of weird. I don't know where they're going with that plot line. But having Oliver getting with Felicity finally, them coming back to the city, them, they actually got a new base of operations in this episode and everything. It seems like you can see the foundations for the Green Arrow from the cartoon and stuff, and that's what I like about it. Another thing I really, really like, I know he's in the comic books, but I know he's a very vague character, but I'm loving Damien Dark. I know he's the one white guy who's been in tons of movies, but I can never remember his name. But he just brings, and maybe it's just me, but I think the same thing whenever he's in the movies. His facial expressions are menacing as hell. Maybe it's just me, but I've always like that presence that he gives whenever he's on camera and he's speaking slowly and the camera like zooms in on his like on his eyes and stuff. It's like it's very menacing, and I like that. It's like it's clear cut. Like nobody's gonna see that show and then be like, yo, who's the bad guy? You're gonna know who the bad guy is. And I like that. I like that a lot. Every scene that he's in, whenever he's forcing somebody to work with him, like Captain Lance or somebody else, like in the earlier episodes in the season, they showed him making deals and using magic powers and telekinesis, to fuck with people. I like that. I like that a whole lot. I really do like his character. I know they're probably going to kill him off at the end of the season, probably, but I do like where they're going with that. It's almost like they're trying something new with the ongoing bad guy plots. Because I can say the Deathstroke. I forget what season it was. I want to say like season 2, where you had like Deathstroke making the armor of Miracle soldiers and stuff. It kind of was bullshit. It fell flat to me because that's not something Deathstroke would do. He doesn't really care about other people like that. He's more like, let's say, like how Batman is, where it's like, I don't need other people. I can get the job done myself because I'm just that badass. And, so a few bad guy storylines in the past that felt kind of flat, but what they're doing with Damien Dark, it's like they're taking it slow. I like it. Like it a lot. I also like how, since the Flash jumped off, they've introduced various things, even though it's excuse me. There we go. Now that I'm not dying. I like the fact that they've introduced various things. Like, even though it's off camera, you never see any of the interactions. But I like the fact that, like, Cisco made, even though in this TV show, he made Black Canary's Canary Cry thing, the little choker thing. I like that a lot because it's like it simulates her powers. Because I think in the comic books, that's she's actually like a metahuman. She has like that in superhuman strength. So I like the fact that it's like, okay, where it's like we didn't need the character to have her Canary Cry in the basis of our universe, but they were just like, let's just give it to her anyway. So I like the fact that they're crossing over and trying to bring in the superhero comic book like aspects of the show. Like they're bringing over metahumans from Flash. You got the Canary Cry. You got Damien Dark's magical powers. They're kind of establishing really they're establishing their own DC continuity TV shows, and it's like they're making their own universe, and I like that. I like that a lot. Even in the Flash, because like they had the crossover episodes, and like I know at the beginning of this season they showed Oliver Queen standing at the grave of who I think is going to be probably Felicity, or somebody else, but I'm leaning towards either Felicity or his sister. And you had Barry there, and he was like, yo, like, I'm sorry, sorry for your loss and everything. Sorry, I'm late, and it kind of sort of, I like the fact that they're making that continuity. I haven't had this feeling since Marvel came in with, like, at the end of Iron Man 1 when, Nick Fury was like, I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. Where, like, they kind of threw it in as, like, a bullshit line just to get the fans excited, but then they realized, like, oh, yo, we can actually make this happen. And then you saw the Avengers movie, and it's like, that's like one of my favorite movies of all time as a comic book fan. Whether you like it or not, I mean, that movie did kind of change Hollywood and how they view comic book movies. And I'm really liking what they're doing with the show, to be honest. The one thing about Arrow that, to me personally, they have like a couple things that don't make sense that they always do, and I know it's just TV shows and how they play out, and they have to have the character drama and stuff. Like Giggle being mad at him, you're like, oh, you kidnapped my son or his child. I think he has a daughter, not a son, but it was like, you kidnapped my daughter, and he was all butthurt and stuff. It's like, come on, man, really? Really? I mean, if you truly felt that way, you'd have put a bullet in him the moment you saw him. It's just like they're doing the Hollywood stuff because they have to. It's like watching a teen drama sometimes. And I guess being a middle-aged man myself, I know I'm 32. That gets tiring to see. But I know they probably do that for the female audience. So it's just after a while that gets tiring to see. I know that's been the case throughout the seasons. There was always, oh, you're hiding this secret from me. Oh, I'm really the arrow. And it's like a lot of things that they always do. And it's just, it gets tiring after a while because it's like every new season, there's a new couple secrets that characters have. But I'm glad to see they're not harping on it. Like after I want to say like last week's episode, they kind of sort of squashed that. So glad to see that. Um, Loving the costume changes. I didn't think I was like him as much as I do, but I'm liking the change in his costume, liking the fact that they're calling him Green Arrow, and they gave Diggle a damn costume. I was not seeing that coming. Although I think he looks a lot like Magneto. You know, looks like he looks like a tactical Magneto almost in the helmet, but it's kind of, I wish they would go full in and just actually give him a costume though. Cause like that whole half helmet thing just looks stupid. Like I like the helmet, it's fine. I just wish that it was a reason for him to use it. Like other than just the, oh, this is gonna protect my face. There's no point. Like if prime example, if the helmet that Diggle wore, let's say, like gave him like a Iron Man like HUD vision to give him tactical updates or to point things out in his vision, stuff like that, that would make more sense to me. There would be a reason for it. Let's say that will give him some type of tactical ability. Give him some type of suit that he can put in that he can wear that looks like I'm not gonna say a comic book suit, but something like the other ones wear. Like you have like Oliver Queen decked out in a full body, sleek type suit. And it's like, what's Diggle got? Oh, he got a cheap face mask and like a leather jacket and some black pants. It's like, no, it's like the black man gets shafted. Like, yeah, we ran out of money with yours, so we just got you this Halloween mask. It's like, come on, man, just give him a costume. Um, and he's another character that I actually like too. Not because he's black or anything, but just because they turned a side character that was probably, I'm just like, I don't know this for sure, but after watching the seasons, like when he first came on, I think it was like season one, he was written probably as like a side character, but since I guess he was popular in the show, they kind of sort of made him a mainstay, and I like that. And they actually put him in the comic books now. It's kind of like what they did with Coulson in the Marvel movies, where it's like they just kind of written him in the comic books and was like, he was always here in the background, you just never saw him. So glad to see that. Uh, what else do I like about this current season? I know I'm kind of rambling this whole this whole episode probably because like I said, I'm gonna try to get these out every week. So I gotta play catch up because since I have never done one of these videos before, as far as with the arrow, but I've always been seeing it, so I'm trying to get everything out on the board as far as what I like and dislike about the show, and then go forward with everything. But something else I always like, the Lazarus Pit. I'm liking the fact that they just said, fuck it, let's bring in magic and superpowers and all of that. And with the Lazarus Pit, like I was kind of worried, like, oh, they're only going to use it as like a Wolverine healing thing, where it's like, oh, they're going to use it whenever somebody gets hurt real bad. But no, they actually brought back Laurel's sister, and I was like, yes, finally, they're actually using it like it was intended. And I like the fact that they're keeping the same staples from Batman, where um, like when somebody gets brought back, they get brought back and they're like completely aggressive and all of that. They're still keeping the same rules. Liking that a lot. And I, I just really like this current season, to be honest. It has a very strong starting point, you know, or at least for me personally. I'm just worried that they have to keep that going. It's like I said, the same thing with Agents of Shield last week for my episode of that. When they have a strong start, but you have to keep that momentum going throughout the season. You can't have 2 or 3 dry spell episodes where nothing's happening. And the one part that I think that they always get around that, at least in the Arrow, whenever they have a dry moment in the show, they always interject it with things that happened in the past, like with Oliver Queen's interactions with Amanda Waller, and Argus and all of that stuff. They always go back to a flashback of like what happened before, and that's something else that I kind of I'm not gonna say hate, but I heavily dislike. Like, I don't get me wrong, Skinny Waller was cool. I know with the new DC, I think with the new 52 in the comic books, they rebooted her character. But for those who don't know, she was like a 300 pound, 400 pound obese woman before, the reboot. Like, if you watch like the Justice League cartoon, whenever they would have her in that, or I think they had her in that one in like the last episode of Batman Beyond and everything. She was a big woman, and she was a strong character. Like, it wasn't written just like, oh, here's this fat slob. Like, no, she was a strong character who would put in work and who was like that no bullshit kind of sort of character. And in the comic books, I don't know why they did it, but I think that they kind of rebooted her character, and then they made her like a skinny black chick. It's like they just didn't want her to be fat, so they changed her. And I hate the fact that in the Arrow TV show that they just chose to do Skinny Waller rather than have a big black woman. I would have rather have the big black Amanda Waller rather than the skinny chick. Because even as an actor, the woman that they have playing her, I'm just not a fan of her. She just doesn't look believable. Her face always has that permanent smug bitch face going on. And maybe that's why they chose her for the character, because I mean, Amanda Waller is a straight bitch, but she was always like that bitch who had purpose, and you can understand her reasonings for doing things because she always had an end game. She reminds me as a character like of DC's like Nick Fury, because he was always the same way. But yeah, I'm really liking this current season of the Arrow. I can't say I mean, well, I've already said a lot about it, but it's very good. I'm just hoping that they can keep it moving forward. Something else I also liked. I liked how they brought in. I don't know the guy's alias in the comic books, but Mr. Terrific. For those of you who don't know, is another black DC superhero who doesn't get a lot of play in the comic books. And I think I don't read his stuff, but I know of him. Like, I've read like one or two comic books about him, but I don't know his real name or nothing. But the black guy that works for Felicity's company in the show, I think that's Mr. Terrific's character. I don't know. Like, I know he had his own company that he worked for in the comic books, and he was like a super genius at that. And he wanted to become a superhero to pay homage to somebody else in the comic books. But I'm glad that they've introduced his character, if it is the same guy. Like I said, I don't know his real name in the comic book, so I can't compare it to the show without doing research. But I know in one of the episodes, I think in like last week's episode, the week before last, when she was going through his little research room and pointing out his various ideas or inventions, I know they made a deal of showing Mr. Terrific's T-spheres, which were these computerized artificial intelligence drones that Mr. Terrific created in comic books to help him out with his superheroing stuff and be like his badass computering. And if that is his character, I doubt they're going to probably take it and make him another character on the show or give him his own TV show, but they're just probably branching out and using different characters in their Arrow TV show, and I like that a lot. Really like that a lot. And I was kind of worried that I think I must have missed an episode, because also in the Arrow, they always talk about Palmer dying. Like, he had a lab accident and he died and he's not there. I don't recall seeing that. Maybe I must have missed that episode, but judging from, my comic book knowledge about the character, I think he probably just shrunk himself and they think that he blew himself up. So, I think they're going to figure that out with Felicity's little text messages that she always gets on her phone and things like that. I think that's like Palmer trying to be like, yo, chick, I'm shrunk, I'm not dead. But like I said before, I know this has been a long video and I apologize for that, but I'm just really liking this season of the Arrow, and I can't say that enough. My hopes for the series, like I said, at the end, whether it's this season or next season or however long they run it, I can't imagine them running it too long. So I give it at most maybe one or two more seasons that they run it out to. But at the end of the day, I want him to become the Green Arrow that was in the Justice League cartoon and the comic book. So, but anyway, I know I kind of rambled on. I apologize, for that. But going forward, like I said before 2 times, I will be doing weekly episode reviews of the Arrow now that I caught up and everything. amongst, the other stuff I'm doing, like Flash, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I may actually do other stuff that's not comic book related, like Blacklist. I know I'm currently watching that. Really enjoy that show. And I'm also watching Limitless too. Also really enjoying that somewhat. That's still kind of, you know, not picking up as much as I like, but I will be doing other stuff going forward. So you guys can expect more. If you like, videos like this, please, expect more from me. And also write down in the comments how you guys are feeling about the show, or maybe if you have a different viewpoint than I do about the Arrow or any of the characters on it, let me know. Like I said, I love debating and commenting and replying to comments and all that kind of sort of stuff. Like I said, I'm a huge comic book nerd, so I will debate my ass off about who's stronger than who and all of that good stuff. But I know that's one thing on YouTube that I really like, is I like interacting with people who watch my videos and stuff. I know a lot of channels don't. I push out a lot of content, and that's my that's my thing on YouTube. YouTube is a hobby for me, and I love reading all the comments and having different viewpoints from other people, and getting my opinion out there about things I like and things I don't like. So anyway, guys, my name is Denonu, the man with black privilege, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.